What happens when a friend leaves you to die after a tragic fall, and their only concern is their stolen phone? In today's story, we'll uncover a shocking betrayal that ended in tragedy. This is the heartbreaking case of Mia Amelia Conu, a woman left to die in the street by someone she called a friend.
Never catch me slipping. Hey, I'm a Lisa. I'm smoking reefer.
Mia Amelia Conu was a 23-year-old student at Tennessee State University, studying to become a veterinarian. She was passionate about animals and worked as a veterinary assistant at Richland Animal Clinic. Outside of her studies, Mia loved playing sports and dancing. She also spent a lot of time sharing her life on social media, where she posted about her hobbies, hair, and beauty. Mia was known for being kind-hearted and always caring for her friends. She had a close circle, including Fern, who was one of her best friends. Mia trusted Kinna, believing that they shared a strong bond. But what Mia didn't know was that this friendship would soon turn into a nightmare. On the night of June 3, 2023, Mia went out with her friends, including Kinna. They attended a party, and after a night of drinking, Kinna offered to drive Mia home. What Mia didn't expect was that her night would end in a tragic way. It was a warm summer night on June 5, 2023, when Mia and her friends decided to go out to a party. The atmosphere was light and carefree, with laughter and music filling the air. Everyone was in a good mood, enjoying drinks, dancing, and sharing stories. It felt like just another fun night to be with friends. Among the group was Fern, one of Mia's closest friends, who was known for being the one to drive them home after a good time. Mia trusted Kinna, as they had shared many memories together, and nothing felt out of the ordinary that night. The bond between Mia and her friends was strong, and the night seemed to be unfolding just like any other evening of celebration.
This is us after one mimosa. This is us after 2 mimosas.
But as the night went on, Mia started feeling unwell. After drinking for hours, she decided it was time to head home. Kinna, who had also been drinking, offered to drive Mia back. Mia, not thinking much of it, got into the car, trusting her friend to get her home safely. However, the night quickly took a dark turn. As they drove, Kinna's driving became erratic. Mia, still feeling sick, may have been trying to vomit when the unthinkable happened. She fell out of the moving car. The force of the fall was enough to leave her critically injured. Kinna didn't stop. Instead, she kept driving. What happened next would leave everyone in shock. Mia's friends were unaware of what had happened, and Kinna, focused on a personal problem, never looked back. She didn't stop to help or call for help. Instead, she continued on her way, completely ignoring the friend who had just fallen from her car. As Kinna drove down the road, Mia, still feeling unwell from the drinks, was struggling in the back seat. She likely needed to throw up, and in her attempt to do so, she suddenly lost her balance. The next thing that happened was a nightmare. Mia fell out of the moving car. The force of the fall left her lying in the street, alone, vulnerable, and in need of immediate help. But instead of stopping to help her friend, Kinna kept driving. She didn't even slow down. In that moment, Kinna was in control of the vehicle. She could have pulled over, checked on Mia, and called for help. Instead, she kept going, leaving Mia behind on the road, where she would be found hours later, struggling for her life. The fall wasn't an accident. It wasn't a simple mishap. It was a direct result of Kinna's negligence. She failed to ensure Mia was safe, failed to stop, and failed to act as a friend when it mattered most. Mia's friends had no idea what had happened. The last they knew, she was in the car, and Kinna was supposed to be driving her home. But Kinna's actions in that moment would change everything. She didn't even think to stop or check on Mia. Instead, she drove on without a second thought, completely ignoring the fact that her friend had just fallen out of the car. What happened next was even harder to believe. Instead of going to the police to report the accident or trying to get help for Mia, Kina went to a police station, but not to report what had just happened. She went to complain about her missing phone. Mia had fallen out of the car, and Kina's first concern was about a phone that had been taken by her boyfriend. Kina's response was shocking. Her focus wasn't on the friend she had just left in the road but on her own personal problems. She didn't care that Mia was lying helpless in the street. She didn't even consider that Mia might be in serious danger. Instead, Kina drove to the police station, reported her phone was missing, and made no mention of the accident.
And someone exits your vehicle while the car is in motion, and you don't take the time to stop, render aid,
It's
and check on
difficult
your
to
friend.
understand how someone who
Chief
calls
Barrett.
themselves a friend could show so little care for the person they're supposed to protect. Kina cared more about a stolen phone than she did about Mia's life. The disregard she showed for Mia's well-being, in that moment, was beyond belief. Instead of calling for help, instead of being there for her friend, Kina was worried about a phone. And that moment of selfishness, of choosing her own problems over her friend's safety, would haunt everyone involved. Around 4:30 a.m., a passerby discovered Mia's body lying in the street. The person immediately called the authorities, and within minutes, police were dispatched to the scene. Officers arrived shortly after at 4:35 a.m. to find Mia in critical condition on Providence Drive, right in front of the Coach House apartments. The police quickly began their investigation, and several pieces of evidence were collected. There were tire impressions on the road, showing where the car had passed. Blood swabs were taken from the scene, and crucial footage from a nearby apartment complex was also retrieved. This footage would later play a key role in uncovering the truth of what had happened that night. The timeline of events started to take shape. It became clear that Mia had fallen from the moving car and was left behind. Her injuries were severe, and the first responders worked quickly to stabilize her before she was rushed to the hospital. But despite their efforts, it was clear the situation was dire. When Kina was first questioned by the police, she gave a story that didn't add up. She claimed that Mia had jumped out of the car on her own. But the evidence didn't support that. The footage from the apartment complex and the tire marks showed the car never slowed down after Mia fell. In fact, the evidence pointed to Mia likely trying to throw up before falling. There were signs of vomit on the car's door and in the roadway, which suggested she was in distress when she fell. Despite this, Kina continued to deny her role in the incident. When questioned, she claimed that Mia had jumped out of the car willingly, trying to cover up her own negligence. But the investigation told a very different story. Kina's contradictory statements and lies were slowly unraveling as more evidence came to light. Her attempt to cover up what happened only made the situation worse. The police were able to piece together the true sequence of events, and it became clear that Kina had abandoned her friend when she needed help the most. As the investigation progressed, toxicology reports confirmed that Mia had a blood alcohol concentration, BAC, of 0.21, which is significantly over the legal limit. However, there were no other substances found in her system, meaning alcohol was the only factor contributing to her condition that night. Kina was arrested and charged with 2 serious offenses, operating while intoxicated and leaving the scene of an accident. Her actions that night had consequences, not only for her but for Mia's family and loved ones. Mia's tragic death was officially ruled as a result of the fall, compounded by her injuries and the lack of help when she needed it. The impact on Mia's family was devastating. Her mother spoke out about the heartbreak of losing her daughter in such a senseless way, and the pain of knowing that Mia had been abandoned by someone she trusted. The tragedy left a hole in the hearts of all who knew her, and the case became a painful reminder of how quickly things can go wrong, especially when trust is broken in the most unforgivable way. In September 2023, Fern was finally arrested for her role in Mia's death. After months of investigation, the authorities had gathered enough evidence to charge Kina with 2 crimes, operating while intoxicated and leaving the scene of an accident. Kina's arrest marked the beginning of a legal battle that would determine the consequences of her actions that night. Kina was arraigned soon after her arrest. The court set her bond at $3,000, a relatively low amount given the gravity of the charges. As she faced legal proceedings, her family and friends had mixed reactions. Some expressed disbelief at the charges, insisting that Conu was a good person who simply made a mistake. Others, however, felt that she should be held accountable for the choices she made that night, especially since those choices led to the tragic death of someone who trusted her. Conu's case became a point of debate, with some defending her actions and others condemning them. It was clear that this case had divided opinions, but for Mia's family, the focus remained on the fact that Conu had left Mia behind when she needed help the most.
God-fearing, she was beautiful inside and out.
Mia Conu's loved one.
Mia's mother, devastated by the loss of her daughter, became the voice of those seeking justice. She spoke out publicly, expressing her pain and determination to make sure Conu faced the consequences of her actions. Losing Mia, a young woman full of life and dreams, was a blow that Mia's family would never fully recover from. Her mother held on to the hope that the legal process would provide some closure, that Conu would be held accountable for the choices that led to her daughter's death. The emotional toll on Mia's family was enormous. Mia's mother was not only mourning the loss of her child but also struggling with the fact that someone Mia trusted so much could be responsible for such a devastating event. The fight for justice was personal, and Mia's mother was determined to ensure that Conu's actions did not go unpunished. Her mother hoped that the court would not just punish Conu for the crime but also for the lack of compassion shown in the moments when Mia's life hung in the balance. Conu's failure to stop and help, her decision to drive away instead of taking responsibility, made the tragedy even more unbearable. The search for justice continues, and Mia's family remains hopeful that Conu will face the consequences of her actions.
God-fearing, she was beautiful inside and out.
Mia Conu's loved ones and law enforcement
Mia
setting the
Amelia
record.
Conu was a bright young woman with a future full of promise. She had dreams of becoming a veterinarian, a passion for animals, and a love for sports and socializing. She was the kind of person who made an impact on everyone she met with her kindness and generosity. Mia's life was cut short by a senseless act, and the impact of her death has been felt deeply by those who knew her. Her story serves as a tragic reminder of how quickly life can change. It's a reminder that we should never take our loved ones for granted and that our actions have consequences. Mia's family and friends are left to pick up the pieces of a life that was taken too soon. Her legacy will live on in the memories of those who loved her, but it is also a story that leaves us with a question: what kind of friend are we? When faced with a difficult situation, would we stand by our friends, or would we turn away? Mia's story challenges us to reflect on our own relationships and actions. Mia's tragic death also highlights the importance of taking responsibility, especially when behind the wheel. Conu's failure to stop and check on her friend when she was in distress was not just an accident, it was a choice to ignore her duty as a friend and a driver. When we get behind the wheel, we're not just responsible for ourselves, we're responsible for the people in our car and the people around us. Drinking and driving, combined with the failure to act responsibly, can lead to devastating consequences, as we saw in Mia's case. Negligence, even for a moment, can change someone's life forever. This story serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of mixing alcohol with driving, and how quickly things can go wrong when we don't take the time to make safe, responsible choices. Let this story remind us all that true friendship means being there for others, especially in times of crisis. Don't be the person who walks away when someone needs help the most. Take responsibility for your actions, and remember that our choices can have lasting effects on the lives of others. The story of Mia Amelia Conu is a heartbreaking reminder of how fragile life can be and how quickly things can go wrong. It's a tale of friendship turned into betrayal, of someone who chose to walk away instead of helping in a moment of need. This story teaches us important lessons about the value of friendship, taking responsibility, and showing empathy when others are in trouble. In life, we must all ask ourselves, what kind of person would we be in a similar situation? Would we choose to help, or would we ignore the pain of someone we care about? Mia's tragic story challenges us to reflect on our own actions and the kind of friends we are to those around us. We want to hear from you. What would you have done if you were in Kinna's shoes? Do you think justice was truly served in Mia's case? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Your voice matters, and this conversation is an important one. If you found this story moving, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another true crime story or emotional tale like this one. Thank you for watching, and let's keep the conversation going.